It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast on another weekend that has dropped. It's the Real Estate Podcast all the way, our non-stop, I've said this before, marathon of suburb by suburb, breaking down the numbers and the trends every morning with you for the Australian real estate market. Weekend is here. It is a Saturday morning. Look at the date, June the 21st. And good luck out there if you are attending an auction. You might right now be sitting around that dining room table strategizing. If that is you, good luck. Now, good morning to Lizzie and Sean. You both live in Sydney, both working full-time, doing everything right, you say. This is with regard to saving for a deposit, but just can't get there. You say even moving into a regional area feels out of reach, and every time you think you're getting ahead, prices jump again, and renting feels at this moment in time a little like it's going to be a permanent fixture in your lives. You say that you listen to the podcast religiously hoping for answers, insights or something, but lately the episodes have left you with the feeling, what's the point? We're chasing something that keeps running away. And you say that you feel disillusioned and wonder if home ownership was ever meant for you in the first place. Well, there's a bit to unpack there, but first let's welcome in Anthony Landahl, the Managing Director of Equilibria Finance. Good morning to you, Anthony. Welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast, and they are not alone. Sean and Lizzie, there's many people like them, unfortunately.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be here on this Saturday morning. And look, that is not an uncommon story. We hear that story a lot. The guidance we give to our clients is to firstly be patient. Secondly, really understand what you can afford and what you need to do to get there, whether it's how much you can borrow or what sort of deposit you need. And thirdly, there might be some things on the horizon that will help, some government policy changes around first home buyer programs and stuff like that, lowering of rates. So hang in there, the opportunity will come.
That is really good advice, Lizzie and Sean, because you are saving. Keep going. Don't stop now. There will be other first-time buyers listening going, yeah, we're in the same boat. Keep going. Something will break. The dam will break at some point for you. It might be that you get a higher paying job. It might be that somebody comes in and says, look, I'm going to help you. Whatever, don't give up just yet. Now, residential real estate is clearly Australia's largest asset class. Do you think that the great Australian dream of property ownership still holds strong in today's market, Anthony, with people struggling, just like Lizzie and Sean?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think fundamentally the answer is yes. I think fundamentally Australians want to own their own home. The way they're doing that, the way they're approaching that is changing, no doubt about it. But it's still within reach. But it's certainly still part of our culture and our ambition is to have that home ownership. You mentioned real estate as an asset class. Just really quickly, we're coming into the end of the financial year. Over the last 12 months, we've seen a 6.5% increase in the total value of residential real estate. It's now worth $11.4 trillion. That's 3 times bigger than listed stocks and 2.5 times bigger than super. So it's a massive asset class. And it's 55% of our household wealth. There you go, Craig. Really, really important part of Australia's wealth.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. 11.4 trillion. That is a staggering amount and more than double the total held in superannuation. Wow. Now let's look at the dust. The dust is settling somewhat this year. What do you think are the key forces that you've seen influencing demand across the property market in 2025?
Yeah, we've had a pretty subdued start to 2025. I think there's some things on the radar that's going to shift sentiment and demand. The main things influencing demand have been and continue to be will be our population growth. Obviously, there's been a lot of migration over the last couple of years. While that's slowing, that is still putting some stress and strain on demand, particularly in the capital cities. We've had 2 interest rate cuts, which is giving people additional borrowing capacity. It's giving people a little bit of an additional kick around what they're able to do. So I think interest rate cuts and the sentiment around that is really going to start increasing demand and activity in the marketplace. We have seen lender policy being tightened, which essentially means some low loan-to-value ratio loans, low deposit loans, interest-only loans are getting harder to get. Another thing influencing demand is rental pressure. Rents are still high. Vacancy rates are still low. That's now making some people look at purchasing a property as an alternate to rentals. I think the lowering of the interest rates, the settling around economic sentiment around inflation, rental pressures is going to start seeing a little bit of an uplift in demand over the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I was talking to Wendy, a buyer's agent, yesterday there in Melbourne, just talking about some of these vendors that have got unrealistic pricing on their mind. It's also happening in Sydney. That is something that you have no doubt observed. People just, for whatever reason, they can't adjust that the market has actually moved on and they won't get that price.
No, they won't. And to your point, listing numbers are down, which is actually creating a bit of urgency and helping hold up prices. But listing numbers or housing supply essentially is down 7% over the last 12 months. And that's fairly significant. And a lot of that is in the less affordable areas where those vendors are still wanting some of the prices that are now unattainable.
And it is our Saturday morning. We are talking to Anthony Landahl, our mortgage expert. When we come back, we're going to pose the question around first home buyers with Anthony and what are some of the trends. We'll do that after this.
From the emotion of property, the economic inflation, managing your expectations, lack of stock, price growth, construction appetite, days on the market. Stay informed with us and know your property.
And right now it is time for another property tip. Recently we were talking to Emma in Adelaide. Emma, you got a good one talking about buying into apartments, into units, and those balconies. Got to do the right due diligence.
Absolutely. I think if you're buying into any strata complex, it's really important to have a look at the bylaws, the AGMs, and check whether there's any major outstanding maintenance items, because things like balconies can be a major call on each owner. It can sometimes be a 5-figure sum, and that's going to be a nasty sting in the tail for an investor looking for a great return. It's always easy to find this information out by requesting the documents from your agent and also checking all of the strata information that's provided.
You're listening to the Saturday Property Market Update.
It is a Saturday morning. Anthony Landahl is here talking property with me. And Anthony, what's driving, do you think, or constraining the number of homes coming onto the market in 2025? Just before the break, you were saying that, there is this lack of stock at the moment. Vendors, for whatever reason, just not really at the moment prepared to list.
No, vendors are holding off a little bit. So listing numbers, as I touched on, are down. I guess the main things, and we've talked about it before, that are influencing supply side are the construction challenges around the costs of materials, the labour shortages, getting projects up and down off the ground. Supply shortage is a chronic issue in Australia. There's no silver bullet. A lot of the things we're seeing that are bringing more demand to the market, government policy, lowering of interest rates, we just physically can't keep up with the supply. So supply is still remaining a major challenge in the market. Probably an area we're seeing a bit of an easing in supply is inner city units. We are seeing some large-scale unit developments that are going up, particularly Sydney and Melbourne. That is helping some price points for first home buyers and investors. Otherwise, supply remains a real challenge.
Now, let's have a look at those first home buyers. What trends at the moment are you seeing among those first time home buyers this year, and what is motivating them? What's holding them back perhaps in some cases? And that email that we got, that's a point in case, but you've got your own internal stuff. You're dealing with these first home buyers all the time, and in many ways you are that grief counsellor offering advice.
Lizzie and Sean's story is a classic story at the moment, and you can see the sentiment coming through. We're struggling to save for a deposit and affordability remains a challenge. And to be frank, they're the main challenges first home buyers are facing. And first home buyer credit over the last 12 months has been down. First home buyers make up now about 29% of credit inquiries at the moment, and that is down on the 5-10-year averages. So first home buyers have really been struggling with that affordability. My sense is that we're going to see some first home buyers come back in the market over the next 6 to 12 months. Three main reasons. The government policy changes that the Albanese government is going to bring to the fore around the first home loan deposit scheme is going to broaden that program to enable more first home buyers to access it. Rental costs are squeezing some first home buyers to look at purchasing. We discussed, Craig, 2 or 3 weeks ago, areas where it's now actually potentially in Sydney cheaper to purchase than to rent. So I think that's going to continue to bring some first home buyers into the market. And these falling interest rates, as I mentioned before, we've seen 2 interest rate cuts, which is giving some people an extra $40,000, $50,000 borrowing capacity, potentially another one in July, another 2 or 3 this year. That's going to give some first home buyers some more borrowing capacity to get into the market. So I think this time of first home buyers sitting back with that affordability and deposit challenge, no, it's not going away, but I think there is a little bit of sunshine on the horizon for first home buyers.
You know, we've been doing this for a number of years now, Anthony. Go back a few years ago, we're probably saying the same thing when it comes to first home buyers. What would be really nice as far as first home buyers are concerned is seeing some of the wage growth. That would make a little bit of a difference. In fact, in some people's cases, a massive difference.
Yeah, wages growth is sitting well and truly behind housing market growth. Wages growth might be 3 to 4%. We've seen some markets grow, Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, 15, 20, 25% within 12-month periods. So wages growth is just not keeping up with growth in the housing market, and that creates more challenges around affordability and what people are able to do.
I wonder what we'll be saying about those first home buyers in 3 years from now. I'm pretty much the same thing, I think.
It's not getting any easier, and I think supply is the big elephant in the room. Until we fix up the supply, until that actually catches up to this ongoing demand, then it's going to remain a challenge. While ever government policy is increasing migration, while ever the rental market's so tight and these factors are creating more demand, supply remains a challenge, which keeps driving up the prices.
All right, we'll leave it there, wrap it up on our Saturday morning. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the surf. Gee, tell you what I was watching the other day. This AI, you don't know whether it's true or not. This is the problem. Your eyes are saying, is that a real great white shark attack that was posted online where somebody got eaten and somebody was filming it from the rocks? Or not? You know, so many of these shark attacks you're seeing, and you just wonder if it's real.
Yeah, look, probably not the best thing to be talking about when the beach is beckoning, but we tend not to think about those things when we're out the surf. But yeah, that AI is pretty incredible.
Explore new property destinations where you could live with exclusive interviews covering real estate news and market insights.
Big change in technology in 30 years, and also a big change in different markets, because every single market is always different. They're never the same. And it was paper-based back then. It wasn't electronic. The whole industry has changed now. And when you were buying real estate, you had to sign 5 separate paper contracts.
And is that something that sort of makes it interesting, like, you know, moving with the times and keeping up with the tech and still remaining relevant?
I think that it's one of the most important things is to stay up to date with everything, and you really need to live and breathe a market to understand exactly what is going on, to be able to buy well and make sure you're not making any mistakes. Making mistakes in real estate can be expensive.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.